There's been a lot of chatter over the years about Pokeball aesthetics, and it feels like it's ramped up to nowadays. Pokeballs started humbly, and as time went on, they got more special and more advanced in not only function but design as well. Nowadays, we currently have a wide variety of Pokeballs, and some are much more valuable than others, but you truly never know what you got until it's gone. And I'm referring to Apricorn balls. This is a video about these Apriballs. The unique crafting process, a showcase of the different Apricorn balls and designs, the generations they were in, and the present day, Pokeball, Pokemon aesthetics, lastly, how they are obtainable at this time. Thanks so much for the support, and let's get into it. So, you can find a man named Kurt in Azalea Town, and he'll tell you that he crafts Pokeballs using the Apricorns that you've been finding throughout your journey. These things are strange, and I never really understood them as a kid and always got their name mixed up with apricots, which is kind of silly since, if you go to the main city with Whitney, that's one of the radio questions is, Kurt makes balls out of apricots? No. Kurt makes balls out of Apricorns. In fact, the game makes it a point to immediately make sure you get something to hold your Apricorns with. While traveling to Mr. Pokemon's house, you might see an Apricorn tree and try and pick the berry, but it won't let you until you've been given something by another person up the road. If you do go into the house and speak to the man, he tells you how everyone mistakes his house for Mr. Pokemon's. I'm sure that's very annoying for him, but he's thrilled that you might be visiting and sharing a love of Apricorns, rather than just searching for Mr. Pokemon, the popular guy. He'll gladly give you something to store your Apricorns in and set you on your way. But if you don't fall for the trick of going into this house thinking it belonged to Mr. Pokemon, he will still barge out of the house as you try and leave and make sure to tell you about Apricorns, and to give you the proper item to hold so you can collect them. Either way, forced encounter, forced thing. Apparently, this is also because they cannot be held. Apricorns can't be held items in Heart Gold, Soul Silver because they aren't compatible with Diamond, Pearl, Platinum. They didn't want trade happening with them. Either way, it's a forced encounter. I'm glad it's there though. It's not only fun to pick the Apricorns, but the balls are so worth it. In regular old Crystal, it looked like the trees were simply berry trees. You could walk right up to them and grab berries off them from the start. I believe Kurt's trees and Apricorns were, a little different in the mechanic. In Heart Gold and Soul Silver, by the time you reach Kurt, you've definitely already picked up at least a couple green Apricorns, a couple black ones, a couple pink, and probably an orange one. When you reach Azalea Town for the first time, you're face to face with violence that's happening in the Johto region thanks to Team Rocket. The goons are taking over the Slowpoke well and taking the Slowpoke tails, and you have to travel to Kurt's home to enlist him in stopping the Team Rocket grunts. And then you can speak to him, and he'll go flying down to the well. You follow him down into it, and then realize he's incapacitated near a puddle of water, and you're gonna have to wrap things up inside. But once you do, and once you clear out Team Rocket, the both of you can return to Kurt's home, and he can give you a special Apricorn ball immediately, useful for catching fast Pokemon. He also explains that he can make Pokeballs out of the Apricorns, and then you as the player are like, okay, wow, this is what these are for. So you give him one right away, and he can start constructing, technically. But, although you can't skip ahead the date by just changing the date, the number, the way you can get more in one day would be setting the time to 23:58, and then having it roll over to a new day. Just let it roll over and you can obtain many balls in one day easily. And same with the Apricorn trees. They can respawn and you can start farming them in abundance and get a lot of them really quickly. Plus, Kurt can make multiple at once. He can stack them. I believe he could not do that originally, but you can give him 10 Apricorns and he'll give you 10 balls. That's great. As you probably guessed, the pink Apricorns turn into love balls, as shown here. It's shades of pink with a cute silver-lined heart design on it. A great choice to use on the Pokemon of the opposite gender of your Pokemon. I feel like a Love Disc would be a great Pokemon for that ball if you're willing to catch a Love Disc. I would. I'm not a coward. But there's other adorable Pokemon that can fit that motif or aesthetic, like Igglypuff, Jigglypuff, Wigglytuff, or Clefairy or Clefable, or even a cute Slowpoke who still has his tail. Fun fact, I remember when I was first playing this game and they were taking the Slowpoke tail stuff, I thought I was gonna run into a Slowpoke without a tail down in the cave, but no, just silly. Anywho. Guys, I don't know what happened to the balls, but only the friend ball and the moon ball has prevailed. What the hell? A black Apricorn will produce a heavy ball, which has a solid gray pattern and kind of some protruding blue orb bits. It's ideal for catching heavy Pokemon, of course. Not only does it look funny, but apparently also in the Sun Moon games, it just didn't work. For some reason, the catch rate went to 0 rather than 1, so it's impossible to catch anything with it. Heavy Pokemon that might also be aesthetically pleasing for this ball would be like Aggron maybe, Machamp, Metagross, maybe even Golem, and then like Onix and Steelix of course. The white Apricorn produces the fast ball. Not to be confused with the quick ball. The fast ball is red and yellow and it's used for catching fast Pokemon, whereas the quick ball is meant for first turn use primarily and then continues to take into consideration the turns, which influences catch rate and effectiveness. Looking at Pokemon speed stats would show the perfect Pokemon for fast balls might be Pokemon like Jolteon, Ninjask, Electrode, maybe even newer Pokemon, but other Pokemon can coordinate with it aesthetically and have a theme. Like maybe Pidgeot, Raikou would look cool in that, Pikachu, Raichu, other electric types to match that yellow and red. Though one thing in the description of the fastball is that in later generations, it changes some wording from fast Pokemon to Pokemon who are quick to run away, which could be a little different than taking a speed stat in mind. Either way, the design is very unique, just as the other Apricorn balls are. The next one's the Lure Ball, which you can get with a blue Apricorn. This is an iconic design, probably in part because it was featured much more in the anime with Ash's Totodile. And wow, Totodile really suits the Lure Ball in aesthetics. The Lure Ball is obviously very effective with catching water-type Pokemon, and the design is blue and red with some lines on it as well. The entire Totodile line would look awesome in the Lure Ball, as well as others like Tentacool, Tentacruel, Goldeen, Seeking, Remoraid, Octillery. List could go on. Or even like Salamence or something. I think I saw on some Japanese website they were talking about how some people might pair a Great Ball with Salamence. True. Red Apricorns yield level balls, which are very effective when used on a Pokemon whose level is a lot lower than your own Pokemon's. Perhaps you're shiny hunting a pretty low level Pokemon compared to your own, this could come in handy. As far as aesthetics, I like the bright yellow, black, and prominent V. I feel like a Zapdos fits the design well, maybe even Victini for that V, even though it's quite challenging to get those stuff in there, downright maybe impossible, but I don't know, I'm just talking aesthetics. Still, maybe you could put like a shiny Shinx line in there, and that'd be awesome with the yellow and black. Even basic Pokemon like Beedrill would look pretty cool with it, wouldn't you say? Green Apricorns produce friend balls, which are actually my favorite balls. I don't know why, I guess I'm just drawn to that shade of green, as well as the fancy little decor on it as well. If I were to ever get those, you've probably seen those like realistic Pokeballs at the Pokemon Center for like $100. They make so many different balls of that. I would get a friend ball if I ever did that. But no, anyway, so the friend ball boosts the friendship of a Pokemon that is caught with it. So super ideal for catching Pokemon that need high friendship level to evolve, because it'll just speed it up. Pokemon like Eevee, Togepi, Chansey, Pichu, Cleffa, and Igglybuff, to name a few. But still, that green color could look awesome with some green colored Pokemon put in there too. Which is why these balls are also so fun. I love the rise in Pokeball aesthetics that we've been seeing, it feels like. Lastly, we have yellow Apricorns who get turned into moon balls. This is a cool Pokeball design with a blue and gray main color scheme and a yellow moon atop it. It's ideal for catching Pokemon that evolve with a moonstone, which in my mind at first felt kind of like a narrow scope, but Hey, I'm just saying, we've seen so far with these special balls, at least in terms of original purpose, But still, Pokemon that would be prime candidates would be like Clefairy, Jigglypuff, Nidorino, Skitty, and Munna. Munna. Though if you want to go with aesthetics and thematics, other Pokemon to consider might be like Zorua or ones relating to celestial stuff already. All in all, many choices here with it. All the Apricorn balls are pretty unique. Not only that, but Apricorns are able to be mixed into a drink that can be given to your Pokemon for them to perform better in Pokeathlon competitions.
Go fast.
The Pokeathlon is another mechanic in Heart Gold and Soul Silver that's worthy of its own deep dive, but essentially feels like the Pokemon Olympics. I can recall many hours enjoyed with the Pokeathlon. It truly was a sight to see, and I never knew anything about blending Apricorns into juice. Even now as researching, I didn't know that. I just thought they were for the balls mostly. But no, I guess it just wasn't as blatant as Pokeblock or Poffins, or I just wasn't looking for it. But still, this idea is pretty unique, and it shows that not only do Apricorns have a solid purpose with being made into Pokeballs, but they can also be used as a performance enhancer for your Pokeathletes. Pokeathletes? Heart Gold and Soul Silver have Apricorn balls on tap thanks to Kurt. Johto's packed with Apricorn trees, and he can even make a whole stack, like I said, at a time, rather than a single one every time, like you did in early days. It's not uncommon to have an incredible display of Apricorn balls at the ready in your bag. But when it does come to obtaining these special Pokeballs outside of Heart Gold Soul Silver, the task is much more difficult. Scarlet and Violet are egregious with their system to get them. There's a number of ways to obtain these balls in Scarlet and Violet, but they may take you a while, and some of them are pretty tall asks. Let's start with the most basic one though, which isn't terrible at all. You can get some Apricorn balls as special rewards for filling the Pokedex pages. It's not like a bunch of them, you would just get one, but it's still a nice reward. You might also get the ball as an award at the Ace Academy tournament after completing it as your prize. But the chance of this happening is low, and the ball would also just be random. But it does happen. I've just never witnessed it with my own eyes yet, and I've done a lot of Ace Attorney tournaments, thanks to the main method for obtaining these balls. So one of the ways to do this is to just reset the bargainers, I almost said bargainer statues, holy shit. The bidding auctions. And this has been very tedious. This isn't an easy reset. I'm resetting for Pokeballs, and the Pokeballs are gonna be like $300,000 for one. This is not ideal, but I guess this is all that is possible. I just want a friend ball. I missed out on one. It was horrible. Forgive me for thinking 300,000 was enough. It was not enough. Some guy swiped it from me. And then they didn't even have it at auction again. I know, that makes sense. Make it realistic. He got the item, I did not, but that sucks. Quick balls. See, and they have shitty balls too for sale. Sorry, quick balls. I know, they're special in their own way, but why are you selling quick balls at the auction site? It's raining. Okay. Chipped pot. Fresh waters. Cool. Nothing. Dream Ball. Now we're talking. So, what do you have? Nest balls. I hope I have enough money for this. I'm only gonna be able to get one. Starts at 100,000. Holy shit! Look at the money I have. It's not gonna last. So, I go in here, and then the NPCs come in. They clamor in, and I don't want them in here. This isn't fun. The music makes it seem like it's gonna be fun. It's not fun at all. I just want them to get away. Get away from this counter. Stop! This whole time, you can see her bid. Oh my god. Okay, 135. Stop raising it. Stop 150. Stop raising the price. I'll go 170. Please end this. Oh my god. This is what I mean, it's not fun. It's just, it keeps rising and it's stressful. Okay, thank god she's out. But 225. Stop. Okay, 250. Oh, stop it. 270. My 285. Okay, we went over 300,000. I didn't want to. Okay, maybe my strategy's horrible. Stop rising it. Let me rise by 10. No, stop rising. Dude, I'm gonna lose out again. I can't afford it. Thank God. Oh my, not trying to move that. I can't believe. See what I mean? I can't even, I almost lost that one. You have to have so much money to bid. Oh my God. That's 395,000 for a train ball. I'm happy to have them. I love them, but like, at what cost? Apparently $400,000 plus. That was hellish. I got no money. It's time for the Ace Academy tournament. Maybe we'll get lucky and get a ball there as a reward. Maybe. So due to all these circumstances, it's a tedious hassle to find these balls, and nothing's guaranteed. And just getting one of each type of ball is hard enough. I can't imagine a world where players can stack their balls in Scarlet and Violet as easily as, Heart Gold and Soul Silver supplied ball after ball. I mean, it's not impossible, of course, in Scarlet Violet, and it just takes a grind a little bit, but you can definitely make it happen. Still, at the time in Heart Gold Soul Silver, because they were on tap, I took them for granted. You can still find them in different ways in different games, but it's never going to be the same as having Kurt craft them, because that was also just, free. In Sword and Shield, you had to purchase the expansion pack to get access to the Cram-O-Matic on the Isle of Armor to see about getting your hands on some Apricorn balls. I think when it was announced or people saw that these balls were available, there was a lot of hype, and I was excited too, because they're awesome balls to include. But once again, it's a more complicated system compared to the initially intuitive one that Gen 4 already had in place, meaning the hype really died down. You would need to input 4 Apricorns into the machine, and you'll get a random ball in return. Colors of the Apricorn can aid in the possibilities, but there's an entire distribution chart to keep track of when you're putting Apricorns in. I never got Apricorn balls in Sword Shield because this system was just non-intuitive. And again, it's all random, super randomized. The randomization isn't helpful with getting Pokeballs. These Pokeballs are in high demand, sure, but at the end of the day, they're still just Pokeballs that people love for their aesthetics or the systems that they bring into play. And they don't even guarantee captures, which is why it's so awful that getting more than one ball is so difficult. And in the case of Scarlet and Violet, just so expensive as well. I want these balls to be more readily available because at the end of the day, like I said, they're still just Pokeballs that people want to have the option of having in order to personalize their aesthetics and pick what Pokemon they want to have in that ball. It's a shame we haven't had a simple and intuitive system since Kurt. And I'm not saying to implement Kurt specifically into future games, but there could always be something similar. Another NPC that does it. Another thing that's not so random. A system where you can give one color Apricorn and you get the corresponding ball of that Apricorn. Nice and easy. The Cram could have done that, but they didn't. They kind of made it more complicated than it had to be, in my opinion. I've been trying to stock up on these balls in Scarlet and Violet, and it's definitely a bit of a grind. I'm getting ready for that DLC. Although I miss the old easy system, and the old easy system is still available, you would just have to transfer Pokemon up. I don't understand the choice of implementation that happened with Apricorn balls through the years. At least I'm grateful that they're still obtainable in some capacity. I feel like it could have been easy for them to just disappear from outside Gen 4. Kind of like what happened with like sports balls or like park balls, safari balls, stuff like that. At the end of the day, they're really incredible Pokeballs, and I'm excited to have them in my arsenal. This has been super interesting to look back on how Apricorn balls were handled in Gen 2 and 4 and now in current day. So yeah, Please let me know your thoughts as well. If you have a favorite Apricorn ball, let me know that too. I'd be happy to hear it. But above all, thanks so much for watching, and I hope to see you next time. Bye-bye!